Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of the Vinyl Community Guncles. This is episode number 29. We've done 29 of these.
Wow.
I am Robert Fithen, along with Richard from Calvin Wazoo, Craig from Craig's Final... I just called him Greg. Craig's Final Plethora. And ladies and gentlemen, the man who in his most recent video showed a big sale, two big sales that were happening on the internet with vinyl records, didn't bother to tell anybody about them, and then bragged about all the deals he got. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Mike from HubTunes.
Thank you. I think.
This time we're doing tops and bottoms again, continuing to rip off the As It Should Be channel. With 1967 was drawn out of the hat. Wow. Now we're not doing 2005 anymore, or 6 or whatever. Now we're doing 1967. So this is probably going to be a triple album, triple length episode or something. Because
you can zip through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, good time. Special thanks to Mike too, who actually showed the albums in the 1983 one, so I didn't have to come up with graphics and put them on there.
You did a great job with that editing. I was really
one of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, 1967 is the year, and then we'll get to our album review, which is Elliott Smith and Figure 8, the album review this time. So Craig is going to start our 1967 tops and bottoms. We do our tops first, and then go back around and do our bottoms.
Okie dokie. So I'll try to go through these quick. I have 20 honorable mentions, and then I've got my top 5. So, but it sounds like you guys might have a lot more than me, so I'll try to make this quick. Okay, so Simon and Garfunkel, the 59th Street Bridge song, Feelin' Groovy. Sonny and Cher's The Beat Goes On. Don't give me... Okay, you got me sideways there.
This is a new thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Four Seasons with Beggin'. Big Brother and the Holding Company, Down on Me. You know Beggin'.
No, I don't know that.
I don't remember
Beggin', please.
Now
I'm not doing any justice.
Sounds like a dog snack commercial.
It's so good. It is so good. Big Brother and the Holding Company, Down on Me. I think I said that. Loretta Lynn, Don't Come Home a Drinkin' with Lovin' on Your Mind. Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, I Second That Emotion. Neil Diamond, Kentucky Woman. The Grassroots, Let's Live for Today. The Doors, Love Me 2 Times, Baby. Procol Harum, I don't know if I'm saying their name right, A Whiter Shade of Pale. Vicky Carr, It Must Be Him. The Monkees, A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You. The Fifth Dimension with Up, Up and Away, and My Beautiful, My Beautiful, My Beautiful, My Beautiful Balloon.
It was on my list.
Yes. Bobby Gentry, Ode to Billy Joe. The Mamas and the Poppies. Poppies? The Mommies and the Poppies.
The Poppies.
Puppy, Creek
With
Alley.
an Italian take
Creek
on
Alley,
Creek
or
Alley.
however you say it. I love that song. I don't care. Shut it. Fifthing with your down. Yeah.
That made one of my lists.
On your list. I just love it. My best... Let me visualize this for you. My best friend, who passed away a few years ago, but we grew up 5 years old, blah, 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 blah. We met when we were 5. But she loved the Mamas and the Papas. She loved that song. And she was very large at one point, and she found this, like, ginormous muumuu. And then she put on, like, platform shoes. So every time I hear that song, I envision her, like, dancing in this muumuu and screaming, nobody's getting fat except Mama Cass. So that, I think that's probably more why this song is a little more special for me. Your face. Stop your face.
Let's try to not remember that when my review comes around.
Well, okay. Well, you can hate it, but that is why when I hear it, that's what I see visually. I see her, and so it brings.
And which Mamas and Papas was this again?
Creek or Crick or however you say it, Allie.
Creaky.
Creaky.
Alley.
Okay.
Crikey.
Let's see. The Beatles, Baby You're a Rich Man. Glenn Campbell with Gentle on My Mind. Otis Redding and Carla Thomas with Knock on Wood. And Van Morrison's Brown Eyed Girl. So those are... I don't like Van Morrison. I love that song.
It was one of the first songs I ever heard.
I don't know. Another one I have good memories of. So now with my top 5. Number 5, Etta James, Tell Mama. At number 4, The Small Faces with Ichiku Park. I love that. So it's all too beautiful. Number 3 is a tie. Actually, back to Ichiku Park. M People did a wonderful dance cover of that in the 90s. But I love the original. So number 3 is a tie. It's the same song, 2 different people. So Johnny Cash and June Carter with Jackson, and then Nancy Sinatra and Lee Hazelwood's version of Jackson, because I love it. Your face, I just want to punch it.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
You know who I'm talking about?
Imagine that.
Number 2 is Aretha Franklin with I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You. And my number 1 for 1967 is Jefferson Airplane with White Rabbit.
Yeah.
And those are your top singles. Those are all singles.
Those are my
right?
top singles. Yeah, I didn't do albums or anything like that. So.
Well, I'm up next. You got to go.
Bye, Katie.
Bye. Don't look at me.
1967, the year in music continues.
Unbelievable year, right? The biggest event that happened in 1967 for me, I was born.
You were born. Yeah.
I was
Congratulations.
born November. Yes, thank you. So I did 12 records. I just pulled 12 records. I kind of figured we'd all be talking about a lot of the same, so I kind of did a few that I didn't think you guys might know or even talk about. But a couple I wasn't going to bring up the Rolling Stones, but this is a great record. This is Between the Buttons. This was early 67. This is my favorite of the early Rolling Stone stuff. This is a reissue from a few years ago, but this is great. Yesterday's Papers, My Obsession, Backstreet Girl, Connection. I mean, Miss
So it
Amanda
sounds like that's
Jones.
the UK version then, right?
Yeah, it's a UK version. Yeah, it's a reissue though, and I love the. I don't know if you guys care about this shit, but I love the label that they did on these reissues is so cool, and on each record it's totally different. It's really, really cool.
The UK one doesn't have the single for Ruby Tuesday and Let's Spend the Night Together. Right. It's on the American one.
Right.
That was that album was one that Frank Zappa went out of his way to tell Brian Jones that he thought it was the best record they made so far.
It was. No doubt about it. And I love the photo. The cover photo is absolutely. I mean, that's just the Rolling Stones. That's classic Rolling Stones. I just think it's so cool. And what else did I pull? I pulled this Disraeli Gears, Cream, one of the great psych rock records. Awesome stuff. It's on that cool Atco that with the purple and puke brown kind of. You don't see that a lot, but great album, obviously. I did this. I hadn't listened to this, and I pulled this last week after we pulled 1967 again because I hadn't heard this for a while. And it's Eric Burdon and the Animals, Winds of Change, and a really good record. I hadn't listened to it in a long time, and really, really enjoyed it. Not a lot of hits on it, but it's very, very good. Next up, the Electric Prunes. I had Too Much to Dream last night. Yeah. Great single. One of the great singles of the 60s. The album, it's okay. The Peanut Butter Conspiracy is spreading.
What about them?
Yeah, well, a lot of people did.
Do we know what the Peanut Butter Conspiracy is?
I don't, but it's spreading.
It is.
Yeah. I bet Donald Trump knows.
So that's a pun.
Really
the Peanut
record.
Butter Conspiracy is spreading.
Well, yes.
That's what it is.
Solid record. It really
It's
is
bending over and spreading. And what you do is you smear peanut butter all over your ass. When you go into the army, or military draft shoe, this is during a Vietnam whatever, you smear peanut butter all in your ass. And then when you bend over and they're giving you the physical, you make it look like you're in constant, what is it,
Competent,
when you can't contain your own bodily...
Incontinent.
That one.
And you don't get drafted because you're crazy and you shit your pants.
So
Can't
it
you
wasn't
just tell
a
him-
jab at Ted Nugent?
I would just tell him.
Yeah, that's what Ted Nugent did.
Right.
When I rub
Yeah.
peanut butter on my butthole. Really?
Yeah. Well, no, all over. You got to really make it happen. And then to prove you're crazy, you can just put your finger back there and then go like that. And that means you're just nuts. Especially if the peanut butter has, peanut butter, it's in it, really nuts. And that's why that's the peanut butter conspiracy. Is
Did not know that.
Teenagers were doing that to avoid the draft, and then you have the added pun of the peanut butter conspiracy is spreading.
Oh,
Fun fact.
that's very fun.
I mean, I'm glad I pulled this record. It's a pretty good record.
Yes, aren't
See,
you glad
you
that
can
was
learn a
that
lot
brought
of
up?
things in this channel. It is an
Guncles.
educational channel.
I'm thinking
You're
if Columbia
educating
would have
Guncles.
known that, they would have not allowed that name.
Exactly.
The
I
record
pulled.
companies.
I pulled Love, their second record, Da Capo, not as popular as the first one. I really like this. It's got a couple of long jammy songs.
They were both
I-
released the same year?
I think same year, yeah. One early
Okay,
and
'cause
one.
I did
because this
pull
was
the
the
other
end
one.
of the year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause I figured one of you guys would pull the first one, so I was like, oh, this was the same year. I'll pull this one. It's a decent record. It's got a couple of long jammy songs that I know some people don't like, but I like long jammy songs. It's good.
And it goes good with the peanut butter.
It does. Well, you need love to
Yeah.
conspiracy. Now we're getting to my top, these are my top 5 favorite records of '67. Psychedelic Masterpiece, Pink Floyd's first record. Unbelievable. And this is the Pipers at the Gates of Dawn. This is the reissue from a couple of years ago that is smoking. This thing sounds absolutely fantastic. So highly recommend. You can still get
And
this
it's
for like...
out of print. You can?
Oh, I think you can still find it. I mean, I know for sure my local shop has a couple.
Well, the mono one you can find, but the stereo one that they released when they
this is
released
the
all
stereo,
the that's hard to find already.
But they're cheap. I think I paid less. I paid like $19.99, $20 for the something.
When did you get it?
Right when it came out.
Oh yeah.
That Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, they pulled it pretty quickly, and
Yeah.
it's harder to find now.
Yeah. It's a masterpiece. It's such a great record. It's just so damn good. It might be my favorite Pink Floyd.
Another one where the UK and the US are slightly different variations.
Next up, Country Joe and the Fish. I love this record. Electric, folky, psychedelic music from San Francisco. I love Country Joe's voice. His next album, actually, he had a run of about 3-4 albums that were really solid, but this was the first big one. And I love this. Absolutely love it. There's a lot of psychedelic on here. I know you're surprised. The West Coast Pop Art Experiment. All their records are great. I think they have 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah. Part 1 is their second one, actually.
This is part 1 is but what is it? Part 1 is the second one.
Yeah. I think the first one is called something like the first one or I don't remember.
Yeah,
it's got a
like that,
weird, and then the part 1's the second one or something like that.
Which is also a really good record. All their stuff is really good. They were only together for I think they broke up in '70. But excellent psychedelic rock record. Really, really cool. And
another one where the reissue's getting harder to find in a stereo,
Yeah, this is a reissue from a few years ago. This is a mono. So
yeah, the mono's easier.
Really, really cool.
I love their version of "Will You Walk with Me," even better than the Grateful Dead. The Grateful Dead's is called something else. It goes under different names, but I love their version the best. There's 4 or 5 bands that did
really
that.
cool band. I really enjoy their stuff. Now we're up to my top 3. This is 13th Floor Elevators, Easter Everywhere. This blows away their first album, their big album that everyone talks about. I think this is much, much better. Slip Inside This House, the opening track, is a freaking jam. I can say fucking, right? It's a fucking jam. This thing, it is great. Well, can I say fucking, Craig?
Only Craig
can say fucking.
Okay. But this is such a great record. I love this thing. That opening number, that Slip Inside My House, is one of my favorite songs of all time. It's unreal. This is
I featured that in one of my videos.
Did you?
Called Albums Everyone Else Loves But Me. But yeah.
Of course.
13
And then you
years.
and then you guys are gonna laugh at my, probably you laugh at my next two. I love these next two records. They're totally not like no one would think that I like these records, but I love Paul Revere and the Raiders, Spirit of '67. This is a great record. I mean, it's got Hungry, it's got Good Thing, which was just made popular in the Tarantino movie. In My Community, Oh to Be a Man. This is our candidate. It's a wonderful record. I think it's one of the best records of the '60s. I do. I don't know. Probably
Yeah, I
not
mean,
a
I think
popular
people give
opinion.
them disrespect because of the way they were
Right?
dressed.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's-
No, well, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I
they
think their music
probably
is,
had it coming.
yeah,
But
their music is pretty
such
stellar.
a great record. And Good Thing, that opening guitar. I mean, Jesus, what a great song. Just great. And I was so happy to see it in that Tarantino movie. What was that? The Hollywood movie. What was it called?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once,
I think?
but yeah. And when she puts on the record and she's in the room and it's such a great moment in the movie, and I was thrilled to hear them get some recognition. And he does.
Robert,
great.
didn't you do a video of
I was gonna
movie
say, is it
scenes
the right
where
pressing?
they do the
Where
needle
they
drop
put on the
about
wrong record, yeah, or the wrong part of the record. I'll have to check that out and see if they did it correctly.
was
Once
just
Upon a Time,
messed up.
Alice Cooper's favorite band, by the way. Well, Alice Cooper had posters of people on his wall growing up. Paul Revere and the Raiders was the big poster.
Wow.
According to Alice Cooper, anyway.
Wow.
Then I'm in good company. And then my second, well, probably I don't know. These aren't ranked, but one of my favorite records of the '60s is the Young Rascals. Groovin'.
Yeah. Rest in
Just
peace, their
a-
drummer.
Yeah, he just passed away. But what an unbelievable record this is! If people haven't heard this, go out and get it. You can find it probably for $6 in a bin somewhere. MoFi just did a version of it that sounds absolutely phenomenal. But this is my Japanese version. I've had this for years, and it sounds great. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful record. And that's it. That's my tops.
All right, moving on to
Richard?
me or Richard.
You.
Or-
It's you, dude.
Yeah, you.
Who?
You.
you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you.
Well, so that we weren't all showing the same things, I because Richard said in one video that there was no point in doing ranking videos if it's bands we all know.
Yeah,
So
I did?
yes.
Well, I have no recollections of any of these things that I say. Am I like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe.
What I decided to do, because there was no way to do my favorites of 1967 without having a 4-hour-long video. I mean, you've got The Doors, Jimi Hendrix Experience, Cream, Jefferson Airplane, The Beatles, The Rolling Stones. It goes on and on, and all the obscure psychedelic stuff, all the blues stuff. So what I did was my top 10 albums from solo artists. And when you remove bands from the picture, wow, it really narrows things way, way down. I mean,
Well, this was pre like singer songwriter too. So,
exactly, yeah,
man.
right. And so, and by the way, I consider the Jimi Hendrix Experience a band, so I did not include them. But
They are.
my top 10 are their albums from 1967. At number 10, James Brown sings Raw Soul. Now, this would have been higher because James Brown, but this is really not that great of an album. There's some moments on here, but this is kind of transitional for him. He's coming out of his kind of like schmaltzy with the strings and stuff, and just starting to get into like the funk stuff. But I love that cover art on there. Don't Be a Dropout is like a great protest song against, telling the youth to, you got to stay in school and be something. And I'm sure that pissed off the man. But yeah, some really good stuff on here, but a lot of schmaltz. There's actually an instrumental on here. Which one is it? I think it's Yours and Mine, which features a lead xylophone. So, it's not all great on that one. Coming in at number 9 is one that I don't have. I want to get the Speaker's Corner version. It's William Bell, Soul of a Bell. William Bell I first discovered on the Stax singles box set, which he's got a lot of great singles like...
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, there used to be a huge LP size one when it first came out. But I Forgot to Be Your Lover and Just As I Thought and Private Number with Judy Clay. Love William Bell, and he's got an album called Soul of a Bell. One side is ballads, the other side up-tempo, so he was one of the first to do that. A lot of the 70s R&B groups like...
Next time I'm at my local shop, my local shop has a section for Speaker's Corner, and it's probably got 70 records in it. I'll check and see if it's in there. I'll grab it for you if I see it.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. It's like I said, half the Isley Brothers and people were doing like that in the 70s, where one side's ballads, the other side's up tempo. Number 8 is a tie. It's because it's the same artist, and like we just did with Love, a lot of groups and people put out more than one album a year. I mean, very prolific people. Now it's like one album every 3 years or something. But Wilson Pickett, the sound of Wilson Pickett, and
great album.
This one is actually first, The Wicked Pickett, where he looks like Eddie Murphy on the cover. But yeah, this one's a little better. This was first. This one sounds better, but the energy's not quite there. But this one is great. This is the one with Mustang Sally is the big song on here. But it's full of great songs. He has got so much great energy. A lot of covers on here, including Knock on Wood and Time is on My Side, and even Sunny, the Bobby Hebb song. He gives some energy to that. He was called Soul Brother Number 2, which used to annoy him. But his albums are better than James Brown's albums in the year 1967, that is for sure. Okay, enough of the little CDs. It's time to switch to vinyl as we move on to number 7, the recently deceased Loretta Lynn with Don't Come Home Drinkin', with Lovin' on Your Mind. Obviously, that's a great song from 1967, written by her sister, not Crystal Gale, a different sister. But yeah, this is a great album that's full of great songs. You know, usually with country albums like this, it's one single, maybe two, and then a bunch of filler. She doesn't do filler. She just does a lot of great songs. Yeah. A lot of them are telling off the boyfriend or telling off the husband or whatever. She's got on here all kinds of, the shoes on the other foot tonight, and Tomorrow Never Comes, and I Really Don't Want to Know was a song that was later redone by Elvis Presley. I got caught. That's the only difference between you and me cheating. You're a cheater too. I just got caught. It's all kinds of songs like that. And she looks like my mother looked in the 60s on the cover of that. But yeah, Loretta Lynn, Don't Come Home a Drinkin' with Lovin' on Your Mind, coming in at number 7. At number 6, it's not this album. This is the other David Bowie album. But it's the earlier David Bowie album that's just called David Bowie, which I do not have. He isn't quite David Bowie yet. But you can hear a lot of the folky kind of stuff he was doing early, but it's still his voice. And I've always loved David Bowie's voice, and people really don't talk about that. But as soon as he starts singing, it's like, I don't care if he's doing folk music or like Gregorian chant music, it's still David Bowie's voice. So that debut from him, which I need to get at one point, obviously, because it's coming in at number 6. At number 5 is Otis Redding with Otis Redding Live. I'm going to take this out of the case so it doesn't shine. Yeah. Otis Redding Live in Europe.
Yeah. Great record.
This is phenomenal. I have this on 8-track as well. And it's incredible. He got a lot of energy.
On that tour, he intentionally brought along really strong opening acts, because he wanted to be totally amped up when he came out on stage and have the crowd totally amped up. And so
he was usually part of a Stax review, especially in Europe. I mean, it was all the Stax people together, and then Booker T and the MGs would just be the band that plays for all of them.
Right.
And that is Booker T and the MGs.
But Sam and Dave would go on before him, and sometimes he would be so, damn, I got to do better than them.
Yep. And the Bar-Kays, too, I think it play actually on him with this, but...
It's one of
all the Sam Cooke
albums.
hits on here, and I Can't Turn You Loose is so much better than the album version. There's a lot of great songs on here that are actually better than the album version. Try a Little Tenderness, the live version. I like this better than the album version as well. But yeah, Live in Europe. I just got the Otis Redding box set. Speaking of sales, because somebody told me about this sale, so I got the this incredible Otis Redding box set with like 7 records in it for like $63 from Rhino.
So, Rhino's great. Just sign up. I know this is too late, but just sign up for their newsletter, and they will notify you of all the sales.
Yeah.
And they have sales all
Well, I have friends that told me, or at least I thought I did.
Both of you and the horses you rode in on.
Coming in at number 4 Albert King, Born Under a Bad Sign, another
Yeah.
Stax artist here.
Yeah.
This is blues. This guy used to carry around a gun with him all the time because he was born under a bad sign. But wow, he's got some clever lyrics like, is it the Laundromat Blues? Yeah, Laundromat Blues is on here. It's the last song. You've been going to the laundromat, baby. You know, you don't have that many clothes. You've been meeting him at the laundromat. Personal Messenger, The Hunter. You know, The Hunter's been done a million times. You know, they call me the Hunter. I got my love gun. It's going to shoot you. All that. He does Oh Pretty Woman on here, a cover of that. Kansas City, another cover of that, which maybe Craig should listen to. Kansas City. They got some crazy little women. Is that the Crazy Little Women one or the Kansas City that the Beatles do? I don't remember which one it is. Crosscut Saw is one of his best songs, and of course the big one, Born Under a Bad Sign, that was later redone
Great
by
record. Speaker's
Cream.
Corner did a really nice version of that.
Mobile Sound Fidelity Lab did as well. I think theirs was
Oh, really?
way early, though, like in the CD.
Oh, yeah, it might have been. Yeah.
Coming in at... Oh, where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Coming in at number 3, Bobby Gentry and Ode to Billy Joel. I just got reacquainted with this and heard it again like last week. And she's got also a lot of great albums besides this one, and just obviously just besides the one song. But a lot of people just know the one song about Billy Joe McAllister jumping off the Tallahatchie Bridge. But the whole album is kind of themes like that, with tadpoles and high-growing weeds and kitchen tables and biscuits and mamas and papas and whatever and Chickasaw County. But she gets a little funky on here. M-I-S-S-P-I, or however you spell Mississippi. M-I-S-S-I-P-P-I, or whatever.
M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I.
Yeah. Nikki Hockey, later redone by Aretha Franklin, kind of made it her own there. She's got a song on here called Bugs. I mean, it's just like you've gone to the Deep South and you've got her just sitting on the front porch with a guitar. I mean, she sounds very, very authentic. Crazy thing about this album, these songs on the back, listed here, side 1 and side 2, are absolutely, completely, way out of order. They're not even on the right side. They're just completely jumbled. So I thought that was kind of strange. I think they may have fixed it later.
It's just great story songs, you know.
Yeah,
I love a good story song.
None of them are quite have the mystique of Ode to Billy Joel, like you're trying to figure out what's going on. Most of them are just pretty much straightforward. This is what's happening, and it's kind of setting scenes, like just this is the scene that's going on. At number 2, similar to the Loretta Lynn, but she kicks it up a notch, and it was her debut album, just like David Bowie. Dolly Parton and Hello, I'm Dolly. Wow, has the price of her stuff shot incredibly way up. Now, I knew this was, this is like $100 now or something crazy like that. Yep. But even the later stuff is getting outrageous. I just came back from the St. Louis record show, and they're trying to pass off like mid-70s stuff for like $60. It's like, I thought this stuff was like $5. But yeah, this is Hello, I'm Dolly, and the name is a pun on Hello, Dolly, which was a big thing from the year before. But yeah, this is where almost every song on here is like, I'm not taking your bullshit anymore. I'm out. I'm done with this. To her boyfriend, again, like Loretta Lynn, her boyfriend or her husband. But she's even got a little more sass. Dumb Blonde is the first song, as in... I'm
nobody's fool.
Yeah, this dumb blonde ain't nobody's fool. I'm tired of being your old handyman, fixing all your stuff. Put It Off Till Tomorrow, a song that she did with Porter Wagner. I like her solo version better. The songs on side 2 are a little more in the realm of basic love songs, but this has I Don't Want to Throw Rice.
I want to throw rocks.
I want to throw rocks at her, which it's wedding rice. And the woman that, the man she loves is getting married to another woman, and she is not interested in throwing rice. Something fishy is on here. If you've seen the movie Brokeback Mountain, it's the same plot. Her husband or boyfriend is going off saying he's going on fishing trips, but he's really cheating on her. Who's it with? Well, it's probably with a woman because he's got lipstick on his collar, or a man that wears lipstick.
Yeah, he could wear. He could have a man that wears lipstick.
So yeah, that's number 2. Only outdone by a single one. And these again are all solo artists. I didn't do any bands because I didn't want this to be a top 150. Aretha Franklin is number 1 with her, not her debut, but her Atlantic debut. And really, this is where she became Aretha Franklin, when she teamed up with the Atlantic people, like Jerry Wexler and all those people. I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You. This is, of course, the very first song on here is Respect, written by the aforementioned Otis Redding. Soul Serenade is a song that you don't hear a lot from her, but I love that song. Baby, baby, baby. Dr. Feelgood, Love is Serious Business. Do Right Woman, Do Right Man. Another one of those songs that everybody's remade, including Barbara Mandrell and the Flying Burrito Brothers. But yeah, this is just. I think this is pretty much perfect. Good Times, the Sam Cooke song. She does her own. She has a way of doing a song and then it's hers.
Yep.
You know, a change is going to come.
Like the way she just took respect, and it was just it was no longer Otis Redding's song.
Yeah, no. And people are surprised that it's written by Otis Redding, but change is going to come is incredible on here too. Save Me is on here, but yeah, just song after song. This is a perfect album, and it's my number one pick from a solo artist in 1967. Those are my tops.
Excellent. Well, I went out all hog here and did singles and albums. And as usual, I also did notable events because I always find that interesting to see what some of the notable events were. So there are some mentions of Rolling Stones and Beatles here, but in a news kind of sense. So, for example, on January 15th of this 67, the Rolling Stones were on Ed Sullivan. Then also on January 17th.
Now, is that the one where they sang Let's Spend the Night Together and they had to change it to Let's Spend the Night Together? Yeah.
Right.
Was that their first time on? Was that their first time on Ed Sullivan?
I don't think it was. Right? It was their debut on Ed Sullivan.
Oh, really?
I think. Now, the Daily Mail on January 17th reported that there were 4,000 potholes in Blankford, Lancashire.
Oh, wow.
And we all know where that wound up.
Yep.
Yeah. Now they know how many holes it takes to fill the Albert Hall.
Yeah.
The band that we're not talking about today?
Yeah. And on February 6th, Michael Nesmith and Mickey Dolenz flew into London. And Dolenz was watching Brit TV, and he saw the show Till Death Do Us Part. And he picked up on the term Randy Scouse Git from the program, and that turned into the title for the next single they had, which was Randy House Skit, not realizing that it was an offensive, pejorative. And so the British censors forced the title of the song to be actually changed to an alternate title. Apparently, in English parlance, it's a horny Liverpudlian jerk. That is a Randy Scouse Git.
It's a scoose, right?
Or Scoose Git. All right, don't know how it would be pronounced. Randy Scoose Git. Oh, it's a Randy Scoose Git. All right, so
curse Sir Walter Raleigh. He was such a stupid git.
Yes. Well, yes, a git is just an idiot. Then Mickey Dolenz meets Paul McCartney on February 7th in St. John's Wood. They posed together for the press, and his impressions, Dolenz's impressions of that visit, was featured in the lyrics of Randy Scouse Git. Yeah. Interesting there. Also, Michael Nesmith attended the Abbey Road studio session number 2 for the recording of A Day in the Life. And he was there for the orgasm of noise that the orchestra creates. The British police, this was February 12th, raid Redlands, the Sussex home of Keith Richards, in the wee hours of the morning after a tip. Nobody
found a nude bird wrapped in a rug.
There were no arrests made at the time. Right, but Richards and Jagger and an art dealer, Robert Fraser, were later charged with drug possession. It was while on a houseboat in California on June 19th that Otis Redding was listening to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and that's what inspired him to write Dock of the Bay. So in November, Redding records Dock of the Bay at Stax Records. And then on December 8th, he and his backup band, the Bar-Kays, were in Cleveland. They got on a flight to head to Madison, Wisconsin, where he and 4 of the 6 Bar-Kays are, die in a plane crash when the crash goes into the lake. There's a lake there, Lake Monona. Monona, I think is how you say it there in Madison.
Yeah.
There is a memorial there that you can go visit. I went to Madison this past spring.
I've seen it.
And it was considered the worst air tragedy within the entertainment industry since the day the music died, when Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper died in a crash in 1959.
Damn, so fuck Patsy Cline.
Yeah. Poor Patsy.
Poor Patsy.
Yeah, she never got any respect.
No,
I think they're talking about the number of people, not the significance of the person.
yeah, probably.
In terms of that. So, all right, my singles honorable mentions, I'll quickly go through them, are Soul Man by Sam and Dave. No, there's no order here. Buffalo Springfield, For What It's Worth. Somebody to Love for Jefferson Airplane. Brown Eyed Girl, Van Morrison. Whiter Shade of Pale, Procol Harum. I Can See for Miles, The Who. Green Tambourine, The Lemon Pipers.
Oh, yeah.
And Daydream Believer by the Monkees. Those are my honorable mentions. Now, my top 10 singles, going from number 10, we got Respect from Aretha Franklin. Happy Together, The Turtles.
Yeah.
Give Me Some Lovin', Spencer Davis Group. The Letter by the Box Tops.
Yeah.
Lulu, Sir with Love. Oh my God, when that came out, I was a kid. I thought it was such a great song.
Robert.
I've been doing it years. I did
Ruby
it, though.
Tuesday, the Rolling Stones. Windy, The Association.
About acid.
Number 3.
About acid, yep.
Number 3, Ode to Billy Joe, Bobby Gentry. Number 2, Light My Fire. And number 1, White Rabbit, Jefferson Airplane. I remember just about all of these songs at that time. I was 10 years old. Now, honorable mentions for albums. I have albums.
Which, by the way, since you did singles, Light My Fire is one of the few songs where I actually prefer the single edit over... I mean,
Right,
I like a
we've
lot of
talked
single
about this
remixes,
before.
but I actually like the single edit of that more than the album
I like
one.
the original version
Yeah, I
where
do
they
too.
say She Gets High, and
Let's break on through.
and I'm still on a hunt to get a pressing of that release that is unedited.
I mean, Light My Fire, where it's shorter. I really like the 45. It's such a compact little pop song. I enjoy that more than I do the full 7-minute where they start noodling around, and I like that one too. But I really like the 45 of that.
Yeah. So for the honorable mentions on albums, I don't have a copy of this, but Velvet Underground and Nico. Not my favorite of the Velvet Underground, but it's certainly for that
mine.
year. It's an honorable mention for that year.
Great to have on CD so you can skip over the Nico songs. Harder to do with the album.
Then there's Buffalo
I agree,
Springfield
actually.
again.
Yeah, it's great. Great album.
That one. Then this band is an Argentinian band called Los Gatos, kind of a psychedelic pop kind of band.
Yeah.
Really good, really, really good, but not very well known.
The Cats.
Yes. Oops, don't want to knock that over. Antonio Carlos Jobim, Wave. Really cool record there. Captain Beefheart. First, the 13th Floor Elevator, These Are Everywhere, which was already mentioned. Then Captain Beefheart. Safe as Milk, which is incidentally, for many people, the only Beefheart album they like and can relate to.
Really?
I've never heard it.
I'll try it again. But I've tried it many times and I do not like it. But I'll try it again on Richard's recommendation.
Let's see. Albert King, Born Under a Bad Sign, was next, but I don't have a physical copy of that.
So good.
Debut, Big Brother and the Holding Company. Great album. The Bee
first
Gees.
issues, but I prefer the reissue of the first Big Brother and the Holding Company because it has 2 more songs on it.
I think I have that reissue, so what are the 2 songs?
I don't remember.
Oh, well, all right.
If it says featuring Janis Joplin on the front, it's the reissue.
Yeah, that's the one I have, is featuring Janis Joplin.
But they put their single on there that wasn't on the original.
Oh, okay. Bee Gees first. How cheeky to call the record Bee Gees first.
Presumptuous.
It's a good record.
And then Cream, Disraeli Gears, which I do not have a physical copy, but somebody did and showed that there. So now my top 10 albums. Kinks, Something Else.
Great record.
Yes, it is.
Damn, I should have put that in there.
That's why I didn't do it, because I would have been like, oh. I can't believe I forgot Sharp Dressed Man from ZZ Top in the 1983. I'm making up for that right now. But yeah, that's what I would be doing. I should have.
Number 9, Frank Zappa, Lumpy Gravy. Always loved this album. Again, these are all albums, except for one or two of them. These are all albums I was hearing because of my brother and sisters. I also have the original
Of course you do.
British version of it, which is on the Black Verve label. I do not have an original U.S. pressing, which would be on the Blue Verve label. I don't have that.
Me neither.
Let's see, Soul Men wait a minute, what order am I going in here? There we are. Vanilla Fudge is actually the next one.
Oh, yeah.
So
I just heard that.
It's great. Oh,
for the first time? Or
No, I revisited it.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
it's got a few good songs on it.
They're all covers, right?
Yes, they're all covers. Love Forever Changes, which was already mentioned. And of course, so was, I think, Surrealistic Pillow. I have the same Best Buy series, which was the one that I originally, bought, those cheapy Best Buys, which sound awful.
Mine is from 1971, and it's a tan RCA, and it sounds incredible. I've talked about that in a video before. I was surprised how good it sounded for
The earlier
a
ones
reissue.
do sound pretty good for an album that wasn't recorded very well to begin with.
Right.
You're right.
And the mono one
Which
sounds.
I ended up getting the MoFi.
The mono sounds totally different.
It sounds good. Yeah, totally
Lots
different.
of the.
Totally different.
It's not even just a fold down. Or whatever.
Let's see. The Doors. And, of course, I really want to get a copy that has the unedited version of Break On Through. Number 4 is Sam and Dave, Soul Men. Great Stax record. Number 3, they don't do this. I think there's a restriction on as it should be that, you don't do multiple issues of the same artist in your list. But considering Lumpy Gravy is
they do that.
They do that?
They do multiple artists. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So The Mother's Absolutely Free is my number 3. Really, I like it just a little bit better than Freak Out, which is also.
I love Freak Out.
Yeah, Freak Out is where
It's
it's
probably
at.
my favorite Zappa, and I'm
mine
not a
too.
huge Zappa fan, but it's probably my favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
At number 2, Moody Blues,
Ugh.
Days of Future Past. I'd be listening to that as a kid, and I still love listening to it now.
I listened to it when I was a kid. I loved that shit, and then as I got older, I was just, man, this is some pretentious, awful crap. I just did not.
I like the Nights in White Satin and Ruby Tuesday, or Ruby, what's it called? Tuesday Afternoon.
Tuesday
but
Afternoon.
I'm
Tuesday
not
Afternoon,
into the
yeah.
rest of it that much.
Yeah, I'm not either. But
And my
Power
number
Hour.
1 album of 1967,
yeah.
Pink Floyd, Piper at the
So
Gates of
no
Dawn.
Jimi
I got the
Hendrix. Are
motto.
you experienced from anybody? Wow.
Well, I thought for sure.
I figured.
Are you
you guys
experienced?
would be
No, it
showing
was Boulders Love. Boulders Love was 1967, I thought.
They both were.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I decided not to pick those because, I didn't pick a lot of records like some of the ones you showed there not because they aren't any good. Okay,
Right.
because they really are great albums. But I also wanted to kind of pick albums that I really connected with on some way that also I didn't think other people would necessarily be showing them.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
So
But I got the
peanut
that's
butter.
funny. We all assumed we'd be showing stuff, so nobody ended up showing them.
But I got both the mono and the stereo reissues.
Well, which I think kind of brings us to a topic that we haven't talked. Well, we kind of talked about it off stage before we were doing this video. Is we're not talking about the biggest album of 1967, which is Sgt. Pepper's, and I think we all have a different take on that record. And I don't know if you guys want to talk about it, but Richard was alive when that record came out. I was, 6 months old. And I think it's a great record. It's probably my fifth favorite Beatles record.
Yeah, I would say probably my sixth or seventh. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love it. I mean, I love it. But
I think it comes, and where I kind of wanted to go with it is, I think at the time when it came out, I understand how groundbreaking that must have been.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Richard remembers.
Oh, I remember that because my brother had it. And I listened to it all the time, and it was really all the songs that were in between the beginning and the end that I really was infatuated with. She's Leaving Home. That song. I mean, I was 9 years old, and that song still, I was connecting to it, and hearing the Within and Without You, Fixing a Hole. I just, a lot of these very whimsical songs in some respects, but others that were quite serious. Lovely Rita was okay. I like it now better than I did then as a 9-year-old. It was mostly, the songs in the middle that really connected with me. And I was really, and especially probably my favorite song on the record was She's Leaving Home. As a 9-year-old, that song just really...
Mine was Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite. I just love the whole circus and the whole psychedelic
circus
stuff.
Atmosphere.
Was never a fan of the Within You, Without You. Didn't really like the Fixing a Hole and Getting Better. I just thought those were way too... optimistic, just too up and fixing a hole. And Terry heard that album and said it sounded like a children's album, and I can kind of see how it's like it doesn't have the grit and the Mersey beat stuff of the early stuff, and it definitely doesn't have the scariness and the rock orients of the the White Album, and it's not rock out like the Abbey Road. It kind of does sound a little childish, and I've heard it also described as Tea and Crumpets, the Tea and Crumpets Beatles album, and I can kind of get that too.
Yeah,
but I still really like it. But I wouldn't.
The other album that came out that same year, Magical Mystery Tour,
which I
to
think
me was a lot better.
Me too.
I liked it a lot better.
A lot better.
1,000 times better. And
it's a collection of singles.
It's the singles, and it's
right.
Kind of,
But Blue Jay Way is probably the song that just really gets me every time
I Am the Walrus is the one for me, just that whole eerie kind of what the hell, man. It sounds like he's on
a and what Craig said, Baby You're a Rich Man. I mean, what a great song it is. And the George Harrison songs on there are great. I prefer Magical Mystery Tour.
Yeah, that's probably my second favorite album from them.
Which one?
Fool on the Hill is on that too, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So was Hello Goodbye, but we all make mistakes. That's probably my second favorite Beatles album is Magical Mystery Tour.
Really?
Yeah.
I would probably put it as number 3.
Oh, it's
2 or 3. I would say maybe after Abbey Road, maybe in the White Album, maybe 3.
She's probably my.
I'd put Revolver as number 1, and then probably Abbey Road as number 2.
No one mentioned the Rolling Stones' Satanic Majesty's Request, which I think I always thought was interesting because you guys probably, we're all around the same age. Growing up, that was panned. That was a joke
totally
album.
Panned.
That was everybody. The Rolling Stones themselves called it a piece of shit, and now everybody's like, it's the classic Rolling Stones album. Oh my God, it's the best.
I
don't know about that.
I like listening to it. My brother had it.
I think it's good.
It's all right. Liked it and all that, but it's always a great album to say, because what was their next album after that album?
Exactly. Beggar's Banquet. That's where they really just took off.
Exactly. That's where they became the Rolling Stones that we know.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
my
always-
favorite era. The Jimmy Miller and Mick.
Yeah.
Mick Taylor wasn't on that one, but he was, right before Mick Taylor, and then the Mick Taylor years are my
The
But
favorite.
it
Mick
is
Taylor
kind of
years,
a
by far
fun
the best years of
academic
Rolling Stones.
exercise, I guess you could say, and think about. So, what if Brian Jones continued with them? Where would they have gone? And it's one of those what if spiders wore boots? It's one of those pointless kinds of discussions to have that entertain your brain.
I've never heard that.
It's one I made up. That's a phrase I made up.
That's why you've never heard it.
Now I'm thinking
Just
about what
made it.
if spiders wore boots.
Right. So it's kind of an interesting intellectual
It'd be like
exercise.
those David
but it's
Bowie
completely
boots, like the spiders from
pointless.
Mars. His glam
Yeah.
boots.
See a lot of clumping going on with 8 legs, clumping in their boots.
Noise.
It was like Harry
I
Potter.
hate
the
him more
spider
than
with the
Harry
But
roller
there was
skates.
so much in 1967, and we didn't even scratch the surface
Oh,
of like all those
for
obscure
sure.
psychedelic stuff that was coming out of England with the one-offs and all that great stuff. So yeah, we could have gone on and on. But now
I do
it's
have a
time to talk
handful
about.
of bottoms.
Yes.
I do have a handful of bottoms.
I do like a handful of bottoms.
I only got 4 bottoms.
Are these singles or albums?
These are singles.
We're up to Craig. Look, Craig.
Yeah, I'm kind of sticking with the whole single thing, unless something comes up that I think I need to talk about an album. But this song is just, I don't wrong, and I'm confused by it, and it's like, are you? So it's Bobby V's "Come Back When You Grow Up," and I don't know if he is singing to a child that he is wanting to grow up and then come hit me up when you're an
If it
adult.
was Gary Glitter, they'd be
Or-
singing to a
I
child.
think no, Gary Glitter wouldn't be come back. It'd be like, come over here.
Come over now.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's just too immature and she needs to grow up a little. It's just very, very weird.
Yeah, she's too young, and it's kind of like Young Girl from Gary Puckett. You're too young for me. Come back when you're older.
Yeah, but just
Sweet and Innocent from Donny Osmond. Same thing.
yeah, but he was like 5 when he
Ew.
not that young, but he was very young when he sang that song.
I find that ironic.
Don't you
That's like
think?
Rain on Your Wedding Day or some shit,
Mhm.
which is really just bad luck. Anyway,
Right.
Should have worn a raincoat.
Man of My Dreams and His Beautiful Wife. Okay, number 3. I'm sorry. I just really don't like this song, and I love them, but I never got it. I don't. Penny Lane. I don't like it. Beatles. Y'all knew it's the Beatles. I didn't need to say the Beatles, but yeah, it's dumb to me. I never.
It's a slice
liked
of
it at
life,
the time.
but that's fine.
I mean, I get. I mean, it was a street or a place that they went to or something like that. I don't know. I've never liked that song. Sorry. Okay, and
it's not one of my favorite Beatles songs. That's for
yeah,
sure.
it's-
No, definitely not one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's not one that I just. Yeah, there's so many that are.
The
better.
Canadian single has an extra horn riff at the end. Everybody.
Oh,
What?
well, maybe I need to hear that.
Yeah, that'll
number
change your
2,
mind.
This song is terrible. And that is Lulu with "To Sir with Love."
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I love that
no,
song.
It's not a good song. And Lulu
Because
was
I love
like,
the movie.
huge. I think she's a terrible singer too.
And it kind of rambles. It doesn't have a nice melody. It kind of it sounds like it's being written as it's being sung or something. It just kind of goes in these weird.
Well, it was
places.
written for a film, so that might have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
I think so.
I don't enjoy it. And then number 1, I just maybe there's a reason for the song. I can't figure out what it is, but Scott McKenzie with "San Francisco," "Be sure to wear a flower in your hair." I think it's terrible.
I've got his whole album. I almost made that album an honorable mention.
It's so obnoxious. I'm gonna go into the...
Craig, are you experienced?
All I know is if I ever go to San Francisco, I'm wearing fucking flowers in my hair.
Well,
I don't care
every
if
time I
it's
go,
or not.
I would probably wear
Wearing
flowers
like a
in my
wig
hair
of
too,
flowers.
but I don't
What's
know.
that album cover with the guy with all the flowers in his? It's like got a yellow
what?
background.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't remember. But yeah, wow.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I don't think it was one of the best songs of that time, but it's a good song. I
Gentle
can't imagine
people with
somebody-
flowers in their hair.
Every
Trashed.
time I hear it, you know.
What do
I
you
mean,
got
there's
against
nothing wrong with
hippies?
wearing flowers in your hair. Everybody wear flowers in your hair. God damn it! I want you to wear flowers in your hair. Go to fucking San Francisco, wear goddamn flowers in your hair. But I don't want to hear you sing about it. So I just yeah. I don't
Oh, that's like giving away the hanky code then.
yeah. Well,
I think it's just random flowers.
yeah, it probably throwing them around, dropping petals. I don't know. There you have it. That's my bottoms.
Wow. Well, I don't know. I got no bottoms.
Another top exclusive.
Well, yeah.
I do.
Sorry,
I have.
I really don't. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't know, so I'm not going to trash that.
Well, right. That's
Man,
kind of
what
the way
an
it is with me,
unbelievable year.
I remember some of this stuff, and
from growing up in that era. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
there is like pop stuff. Like I'm not talking like it was considered rock in the day. I'm talking like vocal pop stuff that I don't know that well. From like Engelbert Humperdinck, Release Me. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean,
yeah, I'm not going to.
I didn't include those in my bottoms. Yeah, I didn't include stuff like Jack Jones and stuff that would have been on the adult contemporary stuff. So here are my bottoms, and there's a honorable mention just for being weird. And is it weird or was it just way ahead of its time? And that is Cher. It's not on this album, it's on the one that follows this, but it's the single. Mine are singles this time, by the way. You Better Sit Down, Kids. In this song, she sings from the point of view of a father who is splitting up and, with the mom, and she's telling her kids, you better sit down, kids. Me and your mother have decided to split up. This is Cher singing this. Now, the first song that Cher ever came out with was called We Love You, Ringo, and it was all about her love for Ringo Starr. Radio stations refused to play it because they thought it was a gay song because they thought Cher was a man. So here she is years later putting out a song from a husband's point of view. Now, is that odd? Why did she do that? Why would Sonny Bono... I'm assuming Sonny Bono had something to do with it. Or was it just way ahead of its time?
I love the photo cover of that record.
Was it just woke? Is that Sonny? I don't think that's Sonny on the back.
She's an idiot. I can't stand Cher.
Oh my! Wow, it's all coming out now. Comments.
No,
section.
I like
really
Cher.
It was Craig that hated the Beatles, and now Hubtunes over here hates Cher.
A song by the Beatles. I hated a song by the Beatles.
San Francisco song too.
Yeah, and see, now I'm beginning
Seen her
to
live
see
at
how
least
what I
twice
say sometimes gets
backstage,
turned
and
into
she's
something
awful.
else.
She's awful.
Yeah.
So like Stevie Wonder's dumb or something. Coming in at number 5, it's really not this song. It's more of what this song represents, and it's Elvis Presley, "Do the Clam." Now, "Do the Clam" on its own is not a horrible song. It's basically a dance song about a dance called the clam. You're going to do the clam, grab your barefoot baby by the hand. But it's really more about what the song represents, and that's when you take the king of rock and roll, badass swiveling his hips, coming up with all these incredibly legendary songs like, Jailhouse Rock and Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel and Heartbreak Hotel. You could go on and on and on. Even in the early 60s, I still love some of the stuff after the post-army stuff, like Good Luck Charm and Reconsider Baby. But then the movies start coming out, and you get Old MacDonald, and you get Ito Eats, and all of these ridiculous songs that should never have been sung by Elvis Presley, and just soundtrack after soundtrack after soundtrack. A lot of it kissing cousins, for God's sakes. Come on now, people. But I think that really embodies, one of them, "Do the Clam," which was released as a single.
What movie is that from?
Clam Bake.
Yeah.
Well,
Clam bake, gonna have a clam bake. Don't say ridiculous. And
I never was able to watch a Elvis Presley movie all the way through as a kid. I've
seen them all about 5 times each. Every once in a while, I would have my Elvis thing where I would go and watch all of them, but not in order, but not in one day. Just whatever. But I think the worst one was one that he never wanted released. I can't remember the name of it. It's just a name. Like someone's name. It was about an impotent bull. And he's really trying to get that bull. Come on, bull! You got to get in there and get to it. Don't be shot. He's telling this bull to get charged up and get ready to go have sex with the other. It's just ridiculous. And in order to record the song, he made like whoever, I guess Colonel Tom Parker, promised that this would never end up on an actual album. As soon as he died, bam, right on an album. But so it's not really just that song. It's more like what that song embodies. Okay, number 4, Frank Sinatra and Nancy Sinatra with Something Stupid. This is where a father and daughter team up to do a love song.
Picked that one.
Just like the Kindles later would do for the country world. Father and daughter duo doing love songs and cheating songs. You're cheating on me. It's like, that's your dad, honey. What's worse about this song, and it's, on this album, the greatest hits, on the 45, it's credited to Boy Frankie and Girl Nancy.
Ew.
Gross. This is Frank Sinatra. Who you would think that this dude would be like, I'm not going to do that song. I mean, I'm surprised the person that did this didn't get whacked to come up with an idea like that, let alone have it actually happen and be a single. Something Stupid from Frank Sinatra and Nancy
I love
Sinatra.
that song. I don't think that they should have. I don't think that they should have. I love other versions of it, like other.
Yeah, I don't know about the song. It's just a normal love song, but the fact that it's a father and daughter is what does it for me.
It's creepy.
Number 3 is the Mamas and the Papas.
Oh dear.
With Creaky Alley. This is the song that, and the reason is because of the same line that Craig was talking about. Here's asshole John Phillips, who's a complete jerk off. Nobody's gonna.
One of the biggest.
Everybody knows that by now. For much worse reasons than the one I'm going to give.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine him making Cass Elliot sing the line in a chorus of a song, so it's repeated. No one's getting fat except Mama Cass. That's bullshit to make somebody sing that. And he always made fun of her for being fat, even on stage. And she never could really do anything about it. And now she's got to sing it in a song. It becomes a single that's all over the radio. Creaky Alley from the Mamas and the Papas at number 3.
But at the end, everybody else was getting fat except her, though. I mean, at least at the end, she got.
Well, what a backhanded compliment from John Phillips, who I'm sure.
Well, it probably wasn't a compliment.
I don't know.
At least at the end,
McGuinn and McGuire still getting higher in L.A. Where it's their history put to a song.
Oh, that's the name of it.
Creaky Alley, yeah. It's CREEQUE. QUE.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
At number 2, the Mamas and the Papas. Which I love a lot of the Mamas and the Papas. I'm not doing this because I don't like this. Just these 2 songs. At number 2, Words of Love from the Mamas and the Papas.
Yeah, that's not a good one.
Michelle Phillips needs to do this. Not sing. And not sing on a single. For God's sakes. Words of Love won't win her! Who in the hell? And I know people are going to be like, oh, how dare you? I used to jerk off to Michelle Phillips. Don't say that. I'm glad. I'm sure she's a wonderful woman. I'm sure she's a beautiful person. She was married to John Phillips, so she couldn't have been that smart. But, Denny Doherty, I'm all about that. So I get it. To each our own with that. But Denny Doherty at least could sing. You know what I'm saying? Mama Cass could
Michelle
sing.
Phillips never understood her reason, and now I know. Thank you, Robert.
Oh my God!
Yeah, now we know.
She was the pretty one. That's all. She should have stood there and looked pretty. And as far as mixing them all together, I don't know the harmonies. Maybe her and Cass Elliot worked well together, but her solo was horrendous.
That's a bad song too. I mean,
oh my God!
Yeah,
and she just wails on it instead of being like kind of back in the. Wow! 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 It's like, good. What the hell?
All right, no caterwauling.
God. But that's not as bad as
number
1.
Bottom?
Number 1 is Peter, Paul, and Mary. I dig rock and roll music. This is, and for those who don't know, or maybe have just kind of passively heard the song, they don't dig rock and roll music.
Yeah.
They're making fun of rock and roll music in this song. It's a satire. They're making fun of Donovan. They're making fun of Cass Elliot again. Cass Elliot gets made fun of. And they're making fun of the Beatles to an extent. They're making fun of rock and roll music because nobody sings folk music, and folk music is the only music, and blah, 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 just like that Pete Seeger bullshit. I can't stand Peter, fucking Paul, and Mary anyway, and this is their absolute worst song. They are critiquing rock and roll. They're putting it down. They're saying it's meaningless. They're acting like they are some sort of champion of controversial music. When have they ever been controversial? When, except for the one dude fucking a 14-year-old. And by the way, if you're going to fuck 14-year-olds, you probably shouldn't judge other people. Peter Yarrow, or whatever the hell his name is. Yeah, don't fuck 14-year-olds and then judge others. He did time for that, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, yeah, and Jimmy Carter pardoned him. There's some American history for you.
And one of the Turtles got away with it.
Yeah, well, this one didn't. Went to jail, and I got dragged to a Peter, Paul, and Mary concert. One of the first concerts I ever saw. I'd sit through that shit. Puff the Magic Dragon. I used to like. That's their only song. That's their only song, and they stole it. Because I always love the thing about, I thought it was such a sad. That's one of the saddest songs I've ever heard, because it's like, the boy. I don't know about the marijuana drug. I'm talking about the legitimate. The boy grows up and leaves the childhood dragon behind because he's mature now. And what if your childhood imaginary friends were real, and they were just left in a void? I just always thought that was so touching and so sad.
You probably cry in all the Toy Story movies.
I never saw them.
I don't think Robert cries.
I cried at my mom's funeral, but yeah, no, Peter, Paul, and Mary, no, and I dig rock and roll music, no, ridiculous, horrible.
Oh my!
And the way they sing songs too, like even Puff the Magic, Puff the Mighty Dragon, I can't stand that folk kind of like. We're pretentious and we sing like this.
God,
I love Lemon Tree.
Sing that song.
I don't remember Lemon Tree, but I can't imagine.
Lemon Tree, very pretty, and the lemon flowers.
Lemon Tree, very pretty. Is it something like that? Yeah. God, they sound like they're marching or something. It sucks. And as far as, well, wait a minute, you can't talk about Peter, Paul, and Mary like that. They were socially conscious of that. Way to make liberals look like complete dorks. It does. And Puff, that's a mighty dragon. Who the fuck sings? It's a children. Puff that mighty. What's wrong with singing like that? It's a tender, sad song. You don't get up there. And away we went.
Okay.
God.
Okay.
Sounds like
horrible. Horrible.
All right.
That does not sound like. Who sings like that? Doesn't sound like Sergeant.
That was your number one bottom.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
I only have
terrible.
I have 3 bottoms for singles and 3 bottoms for albums.
Okay.
And I do have some adult contemporary at that time because I was listening to it and it was making me gag. But the song,
a 9-year-old listening to adult contemporary.
Well, because it's being played.
Yeah,
it was everywhere.
Because that stuff's been forgotten, so it was never forced on us.
Yeah.
At the time, oldies radio just played the cool stuff.
And it was, my mother had some of these items, but my older sisters listened to some of this. For singles, Release Me, Engelbert Humperdinck.
Humperdinck.
Wow.
My friends and I, we mocked the hell out of that song all the time. Oh, please run this, baby. We would just make fun of it. It was just it was on the radio all the time.
My grandmother listened to that. She had the record. She always played it. She loved that shit. Charlie Rich were like Engelbert and Charlie Rich were her favorite.
That was the song that kept Penny Lane from going to number 1.
Yes.
Really?
Sad.
Yeah.
Fucking sad.
Correct.
Then the Herman's Hermits, which, and I kind of liked what they did. I'd like to get a compilation of theirs, but the song There's a Hush.
There's a kind of hush.
Yeah.
There's a kind of hush.
There's a kind of hush.
Right.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And
the Carpenter's version's horrible too.
What happened to Mrs. Brown? You have a lovely daughter. So then this is another song that my friends really liked, but I thought it was so stupid, and that was the Royal Guardsman Snoopy versus the Red Baron. I'm like,
I love that.
There's so much better.
I like their Christmas
music
song
to listen to than this stupid thing. And then the albums. My mother was a big Ray Conniff fan, So the album "This Is My Song," and I'm like, "Oh,
Can't say I've heard that
mother,
one.
please, mother, no, not again,
Not
mother."
again.
I always wondered who bought those and had them so that they ended up, by the score in the antique malls.
Yeah,
And now
right.
everywhere.
And then, of course, he had a TV show, Andy Williams, and then there was the album Love, Andy, and of course, we always had to watch the Andy Williams show, and I'm like, why? And then, I didn't mind Sammy Davis Jr. I thought he was all right. He was a decent singer. But then the album sings the complete Dr. Dolittle. I thought, okay, this is too much. This is
Sounds awful.
I'm sorry. Forget it. So those are my bottoms.
Wow.
I was
believe
there.
Wow.
No one's going to defend those?
No, I got nothing.
No. Yeah.
Oh. Those are some big.
Although "Release Me," actually, that was one of the first songs that Dolly Parton actually recorded. It was never on any. There's like bad copies of it somewhere. Where
We'd be walking home from school and singing that song and just being so tragically overplayed, falling on the ground. Please release me. It was just, we just mocked the hell out of that song.
Oh, damn.
Terrible. Yeah, I mean, that stuff's faded with time. It proves how bad it was. It faded, and
Right.
you can find it all for 50 cents, and it never made the oldies radio. And so, yeah, Craig has got the hat. It's time to choose what year we're going to do next.
I used to work with somebody that his favorite singer in the whole, actually two singers. So no music existed except for Elvis Presley and Engelbert Humperdinck. He'd always ask me, "You got any Engelbert?" I don't have any.
I preferred Tom Jones over Engelbert.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, y'all ready to know? Okay,
Oh God, I hope it's not 2006.
it's not.
I hope it's not 2000.
We're going something
Right.
sevens. So go back 10 years. We're doing 1957 next week.
Thank you.
Sorry.
You want me to do it?
Probably
And this will be
I said 1960 to
this will be a short version
90
of.
was-
I mean, I can.
Yeah.
We might need another. We could do the book.
It's going to be jazz heavy, and which will probably frustrate
I could probably do
Robert
that.
no end.
I can probably find some stuff.
Yeah.
Or
I could definitely do singles from 57. 57 was a great year for the early rock and roll singles.
Yeah. I could
Do you want to keep it, or do you want to do? I grabbed a different year.
No, we can
let's
do
do it.
57.
We can do 57.
Yeah, no, we got to stick to our plan.
As ugly
now
as the
the plan
plan
is
might
to-
be.
An awful
Is
plan.
to review the album of the week, which is Elliott Smith, who killed himself by stabbing himself twice, and
Yeah,
then
no
running
one
himself
does-
over
no
with a
one
car,
does
and then
He did
No one
this a
does
number
that.
of times,
yeah,
stabbing himself.
Yeah, it's
ran
questionable.
himself over with a car and pushed himself off a cliff, and then got up and did all kinds of. Yeah, that's not
Yeah, that's miraculous.
suspicious or anything.
Mm-mm, not at all.
Who's first in reviewing this?
Isn't it you?
You.
Yes.
Well, I don't really have that big. It's been a while since I heard it, but I did listen to it. But I think 3 times, and it's longer. It's like about 55 minutes, and I didn't have like a track by track thing because I knew 67 would go really long, so I didn't want to do a really long review of this. But I just thought a lot of it sounded very similar. It sounded like the kind of thing that I would. I don't know why this wasn't promoted to AAA radio or modern AC radio, which is what I was working at the time, because it sounds a lot like what I would have been playing. I can kind of imagine what the singles were probably the first song and, oh man, I should have written them down. The first song and like the 4th song.
Yeah.
But
Son of Sam and
Son of Sam.
everything reminds me of her.
no, there was something. Son of Sam was one,
I
and then
think
whatever the other
Happiness
one was.
the other single.
Oh, I didn't have that as my guess. It was something
Okay.
else.
Yeah.
Everything
but
means nothing.
I looked it up.
Everything Means Nothing was my favorite song on there. I thought that was so simplistic, but it was really, well done. But a lot of it sounded just very similar. It just kind of sounded kind of there. It sounded. I think it would work better as like you hear one song on the radio and you go, oh, that's kind of cool, and then you move on to somebody else. Listening to a whole album, I think, and it's like the kind of thing where, if you don't want to listen to 55 minutes of music, you listen to 4 songs now, you listen to the next 4 later, and you listen to the next 4 after that. And I think it's better for me to have listened to it like that in sections rather than sit on and try to digest the whole thing at the same time. But I didn't fall in love. I'd never heard Elliott Smith before. I've heard his name, but I didn't like fall in love with it or anything, but I didn't dislike it or anything. So I would give it 3 rainbows.
Yeah.
It was just decent. It was decent. It was nice.
If we go around clockwise, then I'm kind of in the same boat with this album. I do have a song-by-song rating because that's what I decided to do. I was going to rate each of the songs on the 5 rainbow scale, and then I would take the average for the outcome of the album, because there are some really good songs on this album. There are a couple songs that I just really didn't like. It was interesting that this is the lowest rated album in his catalog in the All Music Guide, but that's by the critics. When it comes to fans, they rate his albums equally. It's a 4.5 rating for all of his albums. Son of Sam, I gave that a 3. Musically, it's kind of catchy. But I read this MTV interview, and even Smith was kind of ambiguous about the content of the song. He said it was a pretty impressionistic song about destruction and creativity. Shiva is in it, the Hindu deity of destruction and creativity, as a symbol of positive destruction. But past that point, he says, past that point, I really couldn't say what it's about. And, that's kind of the feeling I got from the song. I was like, what is this song? And by the way, Shiva is a he, and he refers to Shiva as a she in the song. He also, for the video for this song, he was chasing this red balloon, which, even though it was black and white, which seemed to be an homage to the French film Le Ballon Rouge. But again, his comment about it was, I don't really care if I fully understand the video concept as long as it kind of feels good. So, this song really didn't have anything to it. Somebody I Used to Know, I gave that a 4. It has a really nice bright guitar opening. It's the severing of ties, but no hard feelings or heartache. It's a very simple song. I liked it. Junk Bond Trader, I gave that a 3. It's got a nice hook and melody, but I wrote down mixed metaphors. The song seems to kind of lose focus.
That's the one I thought would have been the other single. That one.
Yeah, it was his reaction to working with the record label DreamWorks. And in fact, at that time, he threatened DreamWorks that he was going to kill himself unless they released him from his contract. Everything reminds me of her. I gave that a 2. It's kind of an homage to his mother, I think, from some of the things that I was reading, that he felt some guilt over. He grew up with an abusive stepfather, and he left the house in Texas to go live with his natural father up in, I think it was Oregon, around Portland, Oregon. And this song may be an expression of some guilt, leaving his mother alone with this abusive person. Everything Means Nothing to Me. I give that a 5. There's this violent origin to this song, and it's a really very simple song. He was arguing with some friends about something, and he carved with a knife the word now into his arm. And then while he was bleeding, he went to the piano and composed the song while he was bleeding all over the piano. And it's such a simple song about how everyone looks to the past, pines for the past, and then they think about the future, but they never think about right now. What is going on right now in their life? And that really connected with me because that's such a basic Buddhist tenet. I loved that simple piano, and I loved the metaphorical imagery that he had in that. And I really liked the crescendo at the end with the orchestration that was added, even though apparently that was not his intention to have that orchestration added, but I really liked it. LA, I gave that a 4. There was some more existential nowness to it, and it's got a really good guitar hook. A lot of his songs have a very George Harrison feel. I got this really strong George Harrison vibe with a lot of his songs. In The Lost and Found, Honky Bach, The Roost, I gave that a 4. Nice old-timey piano. It's a sweet song of longing. Verse 3, I wrote down, it's a bit dark. I'm alone, but that's okay. I don't mind most of the time. I don't feel afraid to die. She was here passing by. That's kind of a dark and it's a, but and then the part of The Roost is this instrumental that he does that with 2 songs where he has a short instrumental bit at the end. Stupidity Tries, I gave that a 4 too. A 4 also, I should say. I love the line, the enemy is within, don't confuse me with him. That is such a good line, trying to express to another person that, the big enemy is the person inside me. The way I behave, I'm trying to behave with you, is I want you to understand that's the me I want to be, not this me that's inside of me. How many of us in some relationships have tried to communicate that in some form or another? And again, this was a very George Harrison kind of vibe in this song. Easy Way Out, I gave that a 3. Seems like he's like using a minor chord. The cello's nice. But the lyrics again are a little, I don't know, they just seemed a little mixed. They were unfocused. Wouldn't Mama Be Proud? I gave that a 2. It just came off as very formulaic. Color Bars, I gave that a 3. Then Happiness, The Gondola Man, I give that a 4. This struck me as a big shift in musical style from everything else so far in the record. Mm-hmm. This was quite different. And the Gondola Man closing sequence was pretty good too. I like the mandolins because it brought out this sense of an organ grinder, so I thought that was kind of cool. Pretty Mary Kay, I gave that a 2. Singing about ketamine, I guess, but he's also he's trying to sing about soldiers being martyrs and the ketamine being used as a painkiller, which was a very common painkiller in war and battlefields. And but it just still struck me as kind of meh. I Better Be Quiet Now, number 4. I gave it a 4. Again, it seemed like the George Harrison songs I really, really kind of dug. He's feeling about, and again, this is something that I can relate to, having experienced a couple of times, about feeling very secure in living alone. But then when you become involved with somebody and then they're gone, that's when you feel the loneliness of living alone. It's a really nice job of describing that. All right, yeah, Can't Make a Sound, I gave that a 3. He's referring to living alone again by becoming a silent movie. He's starting to dissociate. Maybe this is because it is probably getting close to the end for him. And then the Oh Bye is the last original one, an instrumental. The piano is like way in the background. I gave that a 3. Way in the background, like it's in an empty hall. And it's in a minor key, but it's not necessarily melancholic. I kind of liked it, but I'm still kind of only giving it a 3 because I felt like he could have written a song to go with it and still had that haunting piano like in an empty hall. And then there were the 2 covers at the end, which I thought his cover of Because was really good. I gave that a 4. The cover of Figure 8, I gave a 3 to. The Blessed Deary version from Schoolhouse Rock. I love Blessed Deary's version of that song. But after adding up all my ratings and doing the average, it doesn't matter whether I include the covers or not. It comes out to 3 rainbows.
Right.
Oh, I guess it's my turn.
It is.
Okay, I won't be as long. But no, he put, I'm not meaning it that way. You put thoughts in my head that I wouldn't have had about this, so I appreciate it a little.
Me too.
But same thing. I've never heard an Elliott Smith song in my life. I've heard about him. I've heard a lot about him. I've always been told I need to check him out. And so
Yes,
I'm glad that I have, didn't change my life or anything like that, but it wasn't a horrible experience. So, but no, I like his voice. The songs are, kind of sad. I think it's kind of the theme here that the Everything Means Nothing to me kind of seems to be like the favorite track here. There was something about it, and especially the ending where it just kind of got very heavy and. Yeah, that's really the only one that stuck out to me. Everything else kind of sounded the same. I don't mean that in a bad way. It just, yeah. And this was his last album before he died, right? Okay, that's what I thought. And then there was another one that came out after he died that he probably wouldn't have released
right.
if he was alive, right? Okay, so yeah, going with the theme here. 3 rainbows from me.
Okay. So I discovered Elliott Smith. He was in a very short-lived band called Heat Miser, and they were great. They were a kind of edgy, punky rock band. I think they only had like 2 or 3 albums, maybe an EP and 2 records, and they split up. And never heard from him again. Never knew what happened to him, and I was like. It was just one of those bands that I really liked after 2 albums and they were gone, and I never thought about them again. And somebody came up to me and said, Elliott Smith has a new record out. I was like, wait, the guy from Heat Miser? And they're like, yeah. And it was this one. It was Either Or, and this is considered his best record, his absolute best record. It's not my favorite, and the reason I picked Figure 8 is because it's a little more diverse. Like the songs don't sound all the same. Either Or, it's gorgeous, and his album XO also gorgeous records. But it is a little bit of the same kind of acoustic-y and his dreamy vocals and stuff. I've always loved this record because it's a little electric. It's got a little orchestra. It's got the cello in a lot of points. And I was blown away. I was like, I can't believe this is the same guy who was in Heat Miser. It's a completely different style. Everything about it is so different. Obviously, a very, very troubled man, and that is a consistence through all of his records. I think he made 5 records. A very troubled man, but a beautiful songwriter, an absolutely beautiful songwriter, and. He was nominated for an Oscar. He wrote the song "Miss Misery" for the Good Will Hunting, I believe. And he performed at the Oscars. And after he performed at the Oscars, he did not win for, I don't even know who won that year, but he didn't win. And he performed at the Oscars, and it was too much for him. And everything just went downhill after that performance. And he was sought after. He was, the PR people were coming after him. Everyone wanted him. He was a rising star, and he couldn't handle it. He really couldn't handle it. And he released this, and I love this record. First of all, it's very Beatlesque. Richard, you're saying the George Harrison. I think it's a lot of John Lennon in here too. It's very Beatlesque. Every time you turn around. In fact, when I listened to it after I nominated it a couple weeks ago or last week, I was like, man, this is a Beatles record. I mean, it's so like everything about it, and obviously he loves the Beatles. He was very, very influenced by the Beatles. Um, I'm not going to go through every song. Richard, you did a great job. I totally agree with you. I think, yeah, you did a great job. So I'm not going to go through every song. I think it's his White album. It's long, it's meandering, and if you heard his other records, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is this is more intricate. It's more meandering, and could you take 4 or 5 songs out of it? Yeah, but make it a single record. Maybe it would be better. Maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. I love Somebody That I Used to Know. It could be on Revolver. It could be on Rubber Soul. It is a beautiful, beautiful. It's my favorite song on the record. I absolutely love it. L.A. I love L.A. Easy Way Out. Also, I absolutely love Happiness. Is gorgeous. I love that song. And like I said, I'm not going to go through it because I think Richard did a really, really good job of narrowing it down. Is it a perfect album? Absolutely not. But I just think the emotion of it, and I just, and I absolutely adore this record. And like I said, it's not considered his best. I think there's probably 3 before this that people probably grab off the shelf before.
Everybody talks about his debut.
His debut, yeah. And EXO and Either Or. Nobody talks about this record, and I just love it. I absolutely love it. But I also like more of an edgier. I like to have a little more guitar work. His previous couple albums are a lot softer, more acoustic, and they're beautiful. But this one has always stuck with me, and that's kind of why I thought. It
seems like you narrowly escaped becoming a junkie.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he was a junkie.
No, but you narrowly escaped becoming a junkie.
No. I mean,
you didn't escape? Oh,
well,
okay.
no, I escaped. I don't have that addictive gene in my personality. Thank God.
God, I do.
I
junkie, but
I don't.
That's why I could never be a gambler. Like I could never play slot machines. I know as soon as I started, I would not. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had a tragic life. I mean, after this, he a couple years after this, he killed himself. He stabbed himself in the heart twice, which nobody ever kills themselves.
That takes dedication.
Way. It's either dedication or
suspicious.
Murder.
Yeah.
Murder.
That's another point. Yes, that's another point.
Very, very suspicious. Nobody kills themselves by stabbing themselves in the heart twice. So, but yeah, I just think a very, very talented young man who really never had it, very sad. Mental illness and addiction are absolutely horrendous. And yeah.
Your rating?
My rating. I would probably go with like 3.5, but because it's one of these albums that kind of sticks with me, and so I'm going to give it a 4. I just probably more for a personal reason, and
that's no problem.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's 13. I figured that out on my own. It's an easy one.
I highly recommend his other records, though, especially this one, Either Or. Beautiful record. And his song Miss Misery, he was nominated for an Oscar, is a wonderful, wonderful song. So.
And Nazareth's Miss Misery is really good too, from Hair of the Dog.
Not the
same. Yeah, Miss Misery. Richard knows what album we'll be listening to next.
Yeah,
yes, and
I hope it's Zappa.
And it's no, I
hope so too. We're only in it for the money. That's a good one.
Yeah, a lot of those are. If I would pick a Zappa, though, it'd probably be a passive aggressive one. So, but anyway, I narrowed it down to these 2, but we just did like a double album, so I was considering, and maybe I'll save it for later, the Decemberists, Picaresque. But that is a double album and actually almost a 3-sided album. And so I thought, no, I'm going to go the other direction, go hip hop, and with some Aesop and tobacco, and the album is Malibu Ken.
What
It
is
was
that?
released in 2019.
I love the cover.
It scares
Isn't that a crazy cover?
I love
and
that.
frightens. Okay, what is this called?
Malibu Ken.
Malibu Can from ASAP Rock and Tobacco, which I think the other three of us have never heard of, correct?
I've never heard it.
That is a
So
true
yeah,
one.
that'll be
This will
interesting.
be interesting. Yep.
So join us next time for episode number 30. And don't forget, we still have that contest going on. So this is the last week you have to get your entries
To enter
in.
it, and then yeah.
So if you want to get your entries into the contest, of course, we have the contest going on where you pick 5 albums that you think or 4 albums, one for each of us that you think we would like individually, or albums you think we would hate individually or you can do both. Put your video, make sure you put in the comments that you've left a video on any of our videos, preferably this one. Put it in the comments that you've done the video. You've got 1 week left to do that. The cutoff is the 15th at noon Central Time. And it's for a $40 Amazon gift card. What we'll do next week is remind you, one last time, you got like a day left or whatever. And then all the week after that, we'll be checking out some of the albums or whatever. And then the next show after that, we'll be talking about that and picking the winner on the 21st or whatever that is. So thank you so much for watching. We are the Vinyl Community Guncles. Once again, I am Robert Fitton along with
Richard at Kelvin Wazoo.
Craig Spinal Plethora.
Mike at Hubtunes.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
See you next time.
We thank you.